Welcome to Unhappy Teacher Podcast, a safe space for educators to vent, get it off your chest, and know that you are not alone. Here we talk about the challenges and triumphs in the education world and how we can live our personal and professional best lives. Today, I have here with me a wonderful guest whom I have known throughout the years, and I'm so happy to have Dr. Amberly Evans here with me today. Yes, I have to put some respect on her name because I remember our humble beginnings way long ago. But let me tell you about Miss Amberly. So Dr. Evans is a dedicated learning and development leader with a rich background in K-12 education. Over the years, she's taught kindergarten, third, and second grade, and was honored Teacher of the Year in 2019 and 2020. Her expertise extends beyond the classroom. As an academic coach and ELA content coordinator, she's played a critical role in shaping educational strategies and instructional design. Recently, she's transitioned into the tech world as a product manager, bringing her deep knowledge, learning, and development to a new field. Outside of her professional life, she's also a proud mom of two, Riley and Reagan. So Riley's 10. I remember when he was a little baby, and her baby girl, Reagan, who's 7. She enjoys reading, traveling, and creating memorable experiences. She's also passionate about promoting diversity and inclusion with a focus on linguistic justice. I'm so excited to introduce to you Dr. Amberly Evans. Yay! Round of
Hey, you guys.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Again, I'm just happy to have you here. I was like, okay, I can't go talk to her too much right now backstage because I just want to naturally flow because we have so much to catch up on.
We really do.
So much to catch up on. Like, I know we started, out teaching, 10 11 years ago at the same school, same time. And, just to see your transformation, let me give you your flowers for a minute, girl. just sit in it. Just sit in it, okay?
Go for it.
Yes, I've watched you go through your master's, go through your doctorates, go through your dissertation while being a wife, while being a new mom.
The whole time.
And then a second time being a mom again, coming to school pregnant.
Yes.
I was like, look at this girl. And you did it though. Of course, I'm pretty sure it was challenges along the way, but you wore it with grace.
Thank you.
You wore it with grace. I tell you that, though. We may not know your backstory, but you really wore it with grace. And I was so proud to see, you moving on and, and your accolades, doing academic coaching. And then now where you are, I'm like, what? She made a whole transition.
A whole change.
Yes. But I think you are a woman of such intellect.
Thank
I
you.
believe that you're just collecting a lot of things away on your journey to wherever that's going to lead you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I had to share that with you, girl.
That was so sweet.
So now I'm off my soapbox. Tell us, how did, young Amberly even get into this world of education?
Honestly, it was never another job that I ever thought of. I probably decided early second grade, I went from this private school into city Decatur schools, and that teacher really inspired me. I wanted to become a teacher. Now, what that teacher looked like was different along the path. At one point, I wanted to be an art teacher. I realized I ain't know enough. I was cool, elementary art, and then as I got older, I was like, yeah, probably not. Then I was really good in Spanish. The elementary school I went to, that was a mandatory specials. You had that every day in addition to your other.
Would translate your own meaning.
Yeah, I would. And so I thought at one point I wanted to be a Spanish teacher, and then another time I thought I wanted to be a high school teacher. It just kept changing, and I thank God for the opportunities throughout middle, high school, where I got to actually try out different things. So I did I guess like a teacher program in high school, and I got to go like to the 5th grade class because Stone Mountain was like right on the same campus as Hambrick Elementary. So I would go over there, and I would work with them. And that's when I realized I like really liked the elementary, and I thought that it was going to be upper elementary. Like I really enjoyed the 5th grade students, but then during my undergrad at UGA, I started working with younger kids, and I did an after-school program where I worked with pre-K and kindergarten. So I just knew that I was going to retire a kindergarten teacher. So it's crazy to me now that like 10 years later, I'm not even in education. When like 10 years ago, if you would have asked me, I was retiring for a kindergarten teacher. And that's where I started. I started as a kindergarten teacher. I knew I was going to do that. Then the principal was like, actually, you're really good. We need you in a testing grade. So then I did 3rd grade. Not my favorite.
I know.
I did not enjoy 3rd grade. I just really love the primary grades. I really love getting clean slates and just teaching the kids like the basics. And so I begged every year, you know the turmoil and the transition that we always had like a different leadership. And I just kept trying to find somebody that would listen to me and let me go back down. And finally we had a principal that let me go to 2nd grade and was like, okay, but you got to be the grade level chair. And I now appreciate her forcing me into leadership. Because in my mind, I was going to do like 10 years in the classroom, maybe 10 years like as an academic coach, and then like I was going to figure out the last 10 years. I had eventually got to that, and she really sped that timeline up by making me step up and become the grade level chair. And really the funny thing is, the way I became an academic coach is because the pandemic hit. We all went back home. We're getting our letter saying like, or we're starting to have those conversations about where you're going to be next year.
Right.
I have a conversation with the current principal and was like, hey, I'm hearing that you are interested in moving me to 3rd grade. I really have already done that, did not like it. I would really love to stay in 2nd grade. Like, this is where my passion is. Like, I really thrive here. Or I'm interested in becoming an academic coach. Like, one of the two. I know we're down one. I would love to do that. We sat on that phone for 30 minutes. I thought we was on the same page. Letters come out, and I'm getting texts before I even see the email. And they're like, you're going back to 3rd grade? Who's going back to 3rd grade?
Wow.
And the only way, like, I never put in transfers because I absolutely loved my school. Like, I loved Montclair. That was my heart. And so I never put in transfers. And I was like, okay, well, I can't transfer anywhere. The window is already closed. The only thing I can do is, without seeing any repercussions, is become an academic coach. So that led me to that. What year? That would have been my 7th year. And it was just any and everything I could do to avoid going back to 3rd grade.
But you know, like,
I have literally seen her in spaces and I was like, thank you. Thank you for not listening to me, because had I not been forced and like made uncomfortable, I probably would still be in a classroom, and nothing is wrong with that, but I would have never probably seen how quickly I could have grown if I wasn't uncomfortable with the fact that she was trying to put me back in 3rd grade.
And that's so funny because, you know, some people just think, oh, naturally it's like, oh, this person really wanted to get out the classroom so bad. But your story is like, no, I just wanted to go back down as far as low as possible because that's where your heart was. But it was the universe working, pulling you out, and God saying, no, girl, we gonna make you a leader.
Sure. She kept saying like, oh, well, the kids need some familiarity. They had just like, you know, the pandemic had disrupted it. It would be nice if they could see. I'm like, baby, it would be nice, but they could see me in the hall. Like, no, I don't want to do that. But I really loved like the next school that I went to. I still was working with like immigrant populations because I was at Idlewood, which was in Clarkston. So we have a lot of refugees. And I got to start seeing stuff from a different perspective. I started to realize so quickly, like, I've never wanted to go into leadership. None of my degrees have a leadership certificate. Like, that has never been my thing. I knew I never wanted to run a school, but it really did open my eyes to like how much pressure principals are on, like how much trickles down to teachers, then being that in-between person of like advocating for my teachers, but then also still having to be a team player for my admin was like such an interesting lesson. Like, I learned so much. I learned how to advocate for myself, how to speak up to leadership, how like so many different things, how to organize my time. Because I went from getting a master schedule that told me when I eat, when I have breaks, when I'm supposed to teach what, to okay, these are your teachers, figure out how you're going to support them. So it was like so many leadership skills that I gained along the way. I had an awesome mentor who now no longer works in DeKalb, but still taught me so much that like I still use to this day. And yeah, like that was probably like I really truly enjoy being an academic coach.
Wow, and that's wonderful. Like, because you actually spoke up for yourself, you advocated for yourself, which some people are afraid to. They're just
Yeah.
like, oh, like, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, or I don't want to be put on the bad list with the naughty teachers. But like, what made you feel confident to be like, hey, I got to speak up for myself? What made you feel that way?
Mentorship. I would often go to the guy who was my mentor and be like, hey, this is the situation I'm in. And we would do like role playing so that I would practice it with him, and he would give me like sentence stems to like start the conversation off. But it really got to a point where it was like, okay, I really want to be good at what I do. Like I'm like my type A personality, I'm an overachiever. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something well. And at the thing that I was advocating the most for was I would come from like a very organized background, and my principal at the time is very disorganized. And so she would just call meetings whenever she felt like if it came to her mind, she's calling a meeting. And I had to get to a point where I was like, hey, look, that's not going to work for me. One, it's making me look unreliable to my teachers if I've had things planned for them, but then you call a meeting and I have to prioritize your meeting. Now I'm looking disorganized and like unreliable to them. They think I'm coming to model and support them, and now I'm like, oh, actually I can't. Then I can't do my job.
Right.
So it really just became like, if I want to be great at what I'm doing, I have to make sure that I'm putting in systems in place that's going to allow me to do that. And it's all about, I really do believe it's all in your delivery. And I am huge on never come to a problem without a solution. So when I went to her about that, I also said, and what we can do is block off time every Friday, 2 to 3 hours that we can sit and like have a standing meeting. So I never like she taught me a lot of how to be proactive with leaders, because they have so much on their plate that I had to learn like the more I can present that's already like pretty much polished and finished, and all they're doing is just like, okay, cool, yeah, go ahead and run with that.
I've kind of heard that before as well too. Like, I mean, I presented something like very simple. I think it was like dance club, whatever. But they appreciated me even having everything laid out about who needs to stay at this time, or how many people I need to stay, what hours, this, that. They were just like, I mean, all I gotta say is okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, coming from like, from now seeing that side and being in the classroom, having that in between, what are some things that you would say teachers don't know, like as far as with the leadership, the pressure that the leadership has on them, that you can share with us?
Principals don't control their schools. Like they really have very little leeway in what they can and cannot do. There's so many channels and protocols that they have to check off before they can make a final decision. I've also said that principals don't have secretaries, right? Like there's a secretary in the front office, but that secretary is more so for admin work, like registering students and things like that. And their assistant principals, who you would think are assisting them, aren't really assisting them in getting their work done. They also have their duties, whether that's testing, whether that's scheduling. So everybody has like all of these things that they're working on, and yet the to-do list is like constantly growing. And I used to tell people all the time, like as an academic coach, I felt like I was that catch-all. Whatever the APs couldn't do because they were working on their things, whatever my principal couldn't do, but she's constantly getting like these emails saying, I need this done by Friday, I need this done by I was the catch-all, like, okay, Amber, can you go do that? Can you go handle that for me? But really, like, the biggest thing that I would want to say to people is like, give them grace. They're advocating and fighting for you more than you know. It doesn't seem like it, because at the end of the day, they still are answering to someone else, and they still have to push things out however it was told to them. But trust and believe, in the meetings, they're fighting for you and at least trying to get it out there. I've seen that so many times, even as an ELA coordinator and being in a room with several principals. They are constantly like, that's not going to work for my school. Do you understand the circumstances I'm in? They're really advocating for their families, for their students, and for their teachers. It just doesn't always
thank you
look
for
like
sharing that, because I mean, we oftentimes, we think about our problems, just ourselves, and we do. Teachers believe that the principals have all the say, but it's like they're actually contracted too by the government, and there is a chain of things, but it gets pushed down to us. But you were in that spot where you were able to look at it from a different perspective, And so I know you said you actually enjoyed your time as an academic coach. Do you feel like you were able to, do your job? I know sometimes people feel like, oh, I'm an academic coach, but man, I didn't get to help the teachers the way I wanted to.
No, I think I really did. And it was just a matter of like managing stuff. Even if it was like I really got to be in the classrooms Wednesday through Thursday, and like Mondays and Fridays were more like administrative things, where because I did a lot of our Title I purchasing too.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time on the phone with vendors and setting up accounts. Like I was that back end person that made sure like all of our software programs from RazKids to iReady, like I was the person that was handling all that external PDs, all that kind of stuff. But even that was still supporting teachers. Like it was still fulfilling and making sure that I was getting my work done. There would be periods, like peak seasons, like during registration season, I never felt like I was in the classroom. But then there would be slower seasons where I actually got to like things now were rolling. I could really be in the classrooms. I could get a schedule set. I would like to think that I had an impact on my school. There's still so many things that we implement now that like I was a part of rolling out. So I'm hoping that I had that impact with them. So yeah, I think I did help.
From your experience and your opinion, do you think there is a job role or title that needs to be created to, I guess, like help the principal out or the AP out? I guess an administrative level that can really, help with some of the extra work that they don't get to do.
No, for sure. It kind of reminds me of like how charter schools are set up. A lot of times they'll have like a dean of students, a dean of, like there's literally like one specific person for like every little thing that has to be done in a school. And so I definitely think if we had funds of some sort, that we need something that is that catch-all that allows academic coaches to really be in classrooms, allows assistant principals to do their work with testing and scheduling, and then allows the principal, who really should be monitoring everyone and doing a lot of the like like work with the parents, right? They're kind of being that what a superintendent is, or like the the area superintendents, like they're the person that's kind of like that buffer between the teachers and the families, and making sure that they're able to really communicate and bring their schools together. But oftentimes they're doing a lot more than that. More than that.
Why is that? Is that it's just like come from the head down, they thinking that, oh, we can just handle more, just pile more on top?
Probably just like so I decided that I was ready to make a change and like leave education when I was wrapping up my dissertation. Like when I was finishing that one, I learned while doing my schooling that curriculum and instruction, every company has some form of curriculum instruction, whether that's teaching internal clients or teaching external clients. Everybody has some form of like teaching something to someone. So I was like, okay, so when my professor told me that, I was like, okay, that's something to think about. Like I can do this work outside of that. And then after the pandemic happened and literally everything went back to normal and we had the opportunity to rethink how we did education, and we did not take that chance, I was like, oh, okay, so we're just going to be stuck in our ways. I can't do that for 20 plus more years. Like knowing that you are refusing to make change when you see change is needed, that just doesn't work with my spirit. And so with your question, like, why is it that way? Because they refuse to do anything that threatens the status quo. Like for years, this has been the system. It has been a principal. It has been an assistant principal. Maybe we'll put like MTSS specialists and throw in a couple other roles in there. But it's always been this same hierarchy of structure. And regardless of what they see as data points, whatever they see as like anecdotal notes, they're refusing to make the changes. And that's why I just can't get with it no more.
But you said it's like, it just didn't feel right in my spirit, because once you have that knowledge, you have that knowledge, like I can see past this, or I can see a solution to a bigger problem. That's when you're like, it doesn't feel right no more, because it's like, I'm just sitting in the problem. I'm just sitting in the problem now, when I know that it's like either, okay, let me go be part of the solution, or like, let me just go do something else. So in what you're doing now, tell us about that transition. How that transition go? Like, did you automatically know? Was there like some kind of like, do I really want to do this?
I was jumping into the same chaotic job market as everyone else. And it really was a roller coaster, but a safe roller coaster, I guess, because I still was working. Like I didn't have like this dire need to leave. I just wanted to try something else. My husband has always kind of had like this very flexible, go with the flow type of work environment. And I've always been I need to find me a career. I need to work for 30 years. I need to have insurance. Like I wanted something super stable. And I really just got to a point where it was like, for what though? Like, for why am I so gung-ho on this particular lifestyle when it's not really serving me anymore? And so I'll say 2021, 2022, I started just dabbling in LinkedIn and trying to figure out exactly like where did my skills transfer.
Right.
So like I started off in instructional design and applying for stuff like that. Did some interviews with that. Kind of got a little taken aback because I would make it to like third phases, fourth phases, and then get the, dreaded decline of, oh, we went with someone with more experience. I'm like, bruh, you saw that on my you saw that on my resume when you pulled it. Like you knew exactly what you were getting, and I've talked about it the whole time through these 3 phases. So I would kind of like take a step back and I'd be like, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. I really love what I'm doing. And then we got the new superintendent who started rolling out these new positions. So I was like, okay, I'll just apply and see if I can grow and make some change somewhere else. And I actually had applied for that ELA content coordinator position like September. Did not hear anything back from them until like November. So I had given up on it.
Excuse me.
Bless you. I had given up on it, wasn't thinking anything else about it. Prior to that, I had started a contractor role where I was just traveling doing PD for this coming up like ed tech company, and I had started doing work with them.
So the transition though, so you said you start a contracting job while you were looking for that? Okay.
So like that was when I was dibbling and dabbling on LinkedIn. That was just like one of the things that came up. And listening to God again, I was like, one of my professors had told me, Amberly, you need to start saying yes more. And so I had started to like really embody that, like just yes. And so when this particular person called and they're like, it's a contractor position, it's not full time. Are you sure you're still interested? I was like, yes, let's just see. Well, let's just see what it is. And like I went through all the phases and she's like, I really recommend that you still have a full-time job. This is only as needed. It's our first year selling professional development to schools. And I was like, okay, let's just go with it. I did really well with that. Really, really well. But still, like, I knew that it wasn't full time. So I was still applying for stuff internal. I was still applying for stuff in LinkedIn. Finally get a call back from DeKalb saying, hey, are you still interested in this position that you applied to like 2-3 months ago? I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's go. I'm still trying to embody this. Yes. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Go do that, end up getting that position. Absolutely love that. Like the ELA content coordinator role is really, really special. It is kind of trying to give that needed help in schools that wasn't there from like curriculum instruction before.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, the textbook that never came.
So now it's like there are people on the ground dedicated to like each area that's supposed to support in those content. And it was really nice. But then within 6 months of me starting that new role, the contractor role was like, hey, we would really love to bring you on full time. Yes.
Yes, still the same.
Yes, like we're gonna try it out. And so in May, I made that transition to work full time as a product manager for professional development, which is unique because most product managers work really like tech heavy and they're bringing out like new features on a website and things like that, where my product is professional development. So I design all the professional development for our company. I manage our like facilitators who are traveling out to the different professional development, and I am building a brand new on-demand course and community to go along with everything that we do right now.
And this is something like you probably never thought that you'll be doing. And look at you. Now, did
Not
you
at all.
ever, in those transitions, in those moments where you were saying yes, did you ever feel like a little bit of like guilt, or like, oh man, I'm leaving this job, or like, oh man, I'm leaving my team?
Yeah. The last one, now, when I left as an academic coach, we all made a pact. Like that was supposed to be our last year. Like, and all of us have left. My other friend went to APS. My other friend got a promotion, is now working as a counselor at a middle school. And then I left to go to the district. But we all made a pact that was our last year at that school, working in whatever capacity we were working in. Now, leaving that role as a content coordinator was really hard because I was like, dang, I've only been doing it for 6 months. Like this, I don't want to burn any bridges. Like I was just making relationships with people outside, like at that level, right? Like, and I was finally kind of like getting my toes wet with different chiefs and other area soups, and I'm like, man, I don't want to mess that up.
Right.
And then like the person that I was working with, my other ELA coordinator, we are like this, like we clicked so well. We joke about how like we've been living parallel lives and never even knew it. So like she was the hardest person to tell. Like I was like, I thought I was breaking up with somebody. Like I had sat her down, we went to lunch and everything, and I was like, I'm so sorry, and she's like, no, like you're getting what you deserve. Like, and you can't be afraid of that. And I was like, I promise you, like this had been in the works for like months. You know, like they had talked to me about potentially bringing me on full time back in October, but they weren't moving fast enough. So I took the DeKalb thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really hard to, especially. I also grew up in DeKalb. Like my mom still lives in the same house that she bought when I was 1.
Wow.
So like
Yeah.
DeKalb is home for me too. Not only is it somewhere that I like started my career, it's home. Like I went to high school in DeKalb. I went to middle school. Like
You are a product
I
of
am a
DeKalb.
product
Yes.
of DeKalb. So it was a lot. Like it was crazy, but then it was also like, wow. I also didn't realize how important me taking these leaps of faith meant to other people around me. I didn't realize like how much people were watching me, and realizing that like, not as like any way to like boast about myself or anything, but like my mom comes from a really small country town in North Georgia mountains, and her daughter now is like working a 6-figure job, and she doesn't understand how she gets to stay at home and travel.
Yes.
Like it's blowing her
Yes.
mind. And it's like, I really am an example for a lot of people who maybe didn't even think that like their education degrees could be used somewhere else, or that they could come from Stone Mountain and actually like make it to like this type of career. And you know, like, so it's just, I realized like I had to take those leaps of faith, because when you, like, I'm the first person to have a doctorate in my family and my community of friends, like I realized like I'm setting the stage for a lot of people.
You're leading the way.
Really have to, you know, take that with strides and understand like, yeah, if you don't say yes, then who will they see say yes?
Exactly. And I've already told you, you know, how, you know, I feel about you. And I'm just, you are an inspiration. You know, it's like, wow, look at her. She's doing it. She's doing it. Again, we don't know the backstory, but we didn't know that you had to take that yes. Even though there was a little bit of guilt, you pushed yourself forward.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thank you. I thank you for doing that and showing me that, hey, there is a way, you know. I want to ask you, how has this transition, you know, been with you being a wife and a mom? Like, how has that balance been? How is it any different?
Better.
It's better.
It's
of course,
better.
Right?
Like, I tell people all the time, like, as you mentioned earlier, I've literally worked and had a child and been in school my entire career. Like, I started teaching, my son was 3 months. I was starting my master's program at the exact same time. I literally had been teaching and having kids and being married all at the same time. And I never really got to pause and enjoy any of it. Because I was always like, okay, I need, like, my husband, I need Jarrell to go and like do something with the kids so I can go write a paper. Or I've always worked in DeKalb but lived in Gwinnett. So then I was always having to leave to go to work way sooner than my kids were waking up. I never got to see them go off to school. He was always the one that was, you know, taking them, picking them up. Like that never got to be my role. Minus kindergarten when Riley went to school with me. But
I know.
outside of that, like I never got to do those things, where now I get to actually get up, I get to pack their lunch, I get to go to the bus stop with them. You know, the other day my kids had lunch on the lawn. I got to just like put out of office on my calendar and just go up to their school. So like the balance is so much better now, and part of that is also I'm finally done with school. But just having the flexibility, I couldn't have asked to start off in a better company either. Half of our company we're remote first. So half of our company, they're in Europe, and their work-life balance is so different than America. And so because our VP is European, the way that he requires work-life balance from us, it's transformational, because as teachers, you don't get that. That was one of the reasons why I knew that I was ready to leave, because when we was coming back from the pandemic, one of our assistant principals was like, I just don't understand why teachers, like, you know, I used to have to take work home.
That thing.
You know, like that's a day of
that. They keep saying you gotta take work home. And I'm like, that was then.
That
This
was
is new. This is
then.
the new Courtney. I don't do that.
No.
So I'm like, if it does not get done during my contracted hours, we're gonna have to figure it out on Monday. And it's okay because it's nothing's gonna break down. You know, everybody's gonna be okay. They're still gonna learn.
Yes.
There's still gonna be instruction. I promise you, it's gonna be good instruction too. But I cannot sacrifice that no longer for my child, you know, being the irritated mom because I got to get these lessons done, you know, husband, we don't get to go on a date because wait, nope, I got this to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, for me, it's like I'm not sacrificing that anymore, you know? And so, I mean, if you can put a word for how you feel now, where you are in this stage in life, and a word for what it was like back then when you were in the classroom.
Yeah, let's see. A word now would be gratitude. I think I see things from a totally different lens now. Like I'm constantly just thanking God, like, wow, like I'm really here. I'm really doing it. I just came back from a trip. I was like, I'm not missing this again. Even though like I am jet lagged and tired, but I was like, I'm not missing it again because I had a work trip in Hawaii. I had to go do professional development out there and I was able to bring my whole family and we made it like a work trip and pleasure. And it's like, when I'm on that plane, I'm looking across and I see them, it's just like, I'm just so grateful to be in this space and knowing that this isn't it. Like there's still so much more that I can learn and grow and things like that. The years back in the classroom, a word for that would have probably been juggling. Yeah, I was juggling a lot. And I think I did pretty good at it. Like at the time, I don't think I noticed how much I was juggling until I see people like make posts like, oh my gosh, like, how do I go to school and work and have kids? I'm like, bruh, I didn't know nothing else.
You was just doing it.
I just was
blindly
doing it,
just doing
right?
it,
Like just, I had a mission. I had my Gates Millennium Scholarship. It ended in 10 years. I knew I had to finish all my degrees before that was, you know, finished. And I just had to keep going. Like there was no time to pause. It was just get it done, get it out the way so that you can reap all the blessings that you've already been given. You don't want those to go to waste. So yeah, but I was juggling a lot.
Do you feel like you can pause now?
I do.
Are you pausing?
I think I've paused too long now. It's like I need to get up and do something now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I told people like that I graduated 2022. That summer I did nothing. I sent my kids to camp. I came home, sat on the couch, scrolled on TikTok, watched
It felt different, huh?
Like it was beautiful. And now my son, like he keeps kind of nudging me like, yeah, what happened to Teach Learn and Beyond? Like when I was tutoring and stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he keeps reminding me like, okay, you took your break, you deserved your break, but now it's time to like figure something out and try some, you know, dibble and dabble into something else. So I think it's time to press play because I've paused for like 2 years now.
And the pause is necessary sometimes so that you can rejuvenate, you know, regenerate and feel creative and alive again.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to if there are, you know, any new teachers thinking about being in this profession? You know, they hear a lot about the kids can't read or all the, you know, the hardships and stuff, but they still have a passion to want to help. What advice would you give them?
You gotta drown out the noise. One of the things I always say is parents, I think I got it from probably some admin at some point, they're sending their best. They're doing their best. And like, I have been living by this word grace for so long now. And if we remember that, like, give grace and just assume that people are not doing it to harm you. They're not trying to make your life harder. They're not trying to send you the worst that they have. They are sending you their best and they are entrusting you to do the best that you can with them. The kiddos can't read. It is a national like epidemic that is happening across all races, all age groups, all socioeconomic classes. But that doesn't stop you from showing up because, you know, like we are their saving grace. One day those kids are going to sit back and talk about you as their mentor. There's going to be something that you did that either positively impacted their lives or negatively impacted their lives. And you have to make that decision, how you want to show up for them.
Yes. So what's next for you? Tell us what's next for you. Because you say you're ready to press that start button, right? You're ready to press that start button again.
I don't know. I'm trying to like say yes more. So part of that is I'm trying to be conscious of like some of my shortcomings and like areas of fear and forcing myself into those areas a bit more. So I'm trying to get into my TikTok more.
Okay.
That's been like a up and down journey because if I don't get enough views, I just stop.
You just stop.
But yeah, or like in a post and then like be acting up and I'm like, oh, see, this ain't even for me.
Let me stop. This is a sign for me to stop.
But
right?
I'm trying to get more into that because I really do feel like I'm really good at making complicated things simple. And I always get all the time like, oh my gosh, can you share that? Like if I just say something on Facebook, people are like, can you share that? Can you send that to me? Because my type A, like I'm constantly creating things to keep my house in order. Like my house is a school.
Yeah.
I have like...
Please share. Please share those tips and things.
And so like I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out that niche and like supporting families because I've also like, when I created Teach, Learn, and Beyond, it was from this premise that I never wanted to be your child's tutor forever. I wanted to support you so that you knew how to support your student. Because my mom used to compare me to my sister who's 10 years older than me. And she'd be like, oh my gosh, the things that you do with your kids is so different than how Salithia was with hers and da-da-da. And I was like, well, that's because I went to school for this. It's not fair to compare me to someone who didn't go to school for this. And if we actually shared the knowledge that we had as teachers with families prior to their kids getting to kindergarten, we probably would have like so many things fixed. They just don't know where to start. So I really want to create a platform where I'm sharing some of those like tips and tricks. And I really want to create a planner. I love planners and I never have figured out one that is perfect for me. And so I really want to like dibble and dabble in that and create a planner based off of product management because I have learned so many ways to organize myself in this field that I think it would be really great to share that with others.
Well, you know, I'm going to be coming to you for some coaching to help me plan my life and set my household up. So, I mean, thank you for sharing, you know, your knowledge, your expertise. I tell you, like you are just literally gathering these experiences, your knowledge along the way for whatever you're about to shoot off and do, girl, because you are amazing. You are so amazing. So please share with our audience just how they can, you know, stay informed about all that you're doing, you know, your social media, website, all that stuff.
Yes. So Instagram is at Teach, Learn, and Beyond, all one word. And then my TikTok is at Amsley, AMBZLY, and then the letter E. So Amsley E.
Well, thank you again. Please make sure you go ahead and check out her social media and please like and subscribe, press the bell so that you can stay updated on all things Unhappy Teacher. We're out.